let's dive into kind of some of the amazing things that Hello Sunshine is doing and what the implications are for B2B companies. So this is takeaways. The first takeaway here is this idea that this might be a little bit on the nose, but using your audience to validate new ideas, whether that's new content ideas, new marketing programs, new events, maybe new product ideas for you if you're, outside the scope of marketing. I think for so long in B2B marketing, I think we felt like, whether we admit it or not, we were stewards of the brand, and we knew all the right things, that we had to go and do. And, we would, if sales needed us to run a campaign, of course, we would do that. And so a lot of the ideas came from our internal kind of, echo chamber. And I think really the big kind of lesson here from Hello Sunshine is how can you really use your audience in order to validate some of these ideas, and your chance of building something, that's successful at the end of the day is much greater. So the idea is, we talk often about, like, we have to do an event. Like, everyone's doing an event. We talked about this last night. What if instead of us saying, hey, we need to do an event because, everyone's doing events, let's ask the audience, hey, would you get together as an audience, as a community, or would you, be interested in meeting in person or gathering? And what topics would you, like to hear from or hear about? What speakers would you like to kind of see brought to the table? These are just some ways that are very sort of low-hanging fruit, I think. Like, this doesn't sound like a very complex thing. It's pretty intuitive, I think. But we just don't do that because we're so driven by a number in marketing, and we're driven by, all right, what are all the traditional channels across paid media and others that are going to help us achieve that pipeline target, or whatever the case is. And I think the lesson from Reese here is, while all that stuff is true, we are still accountable to the number. Maybe there's a way for us to get some real feedback from people.
I mean, you can do this on owned or rented channels, right?
Totally.
You can send an email to your list. You can run a poll on LinkedIn.
Yep.
What Elon just did on Twitter.
That Elon's taken us to extreme. I mean,
So I think just being intentional about actively engaging your audience to validate ideas is something I think you're spot on. We're not doing it nearly enough in B2B.
Totally.
One of the takeaways for me is this idea that celebrity is a cheat code. And when you look at something like this, obviously a big part of the success that they're seeing at Hello Sunshine is on the back of Reese's incredible personal brand, her celebrity, the fact that everybody knows her. She's been in movies for, well over a decade. And I think in B2B, you can look at that and say, oh, that the only reason it was successful was because it's Reese Witherspoon. And I think that's a discounting the brilliance of the model and how she's built this business. But when I think about it, I go, in B2B, it's so much easier to become a celebrity because, frankly, the bar is really low right now. And so you look at what Chris Walker's done in the last 3 years. He's become one of the most authoritative celebrities, so to speak, in B2B marketing in the last 3 years. You're going from nothing to building a $21 million business on the back of putting out one video a day on LinkedIn. Now he's got incredibly, thoughtful points of view. He's a brilliant guy. So I'm not saying that anybody can do this, but we're seeing it more and more. So Dave Gearhart's done this. You see more comedic accounts like Corporate Natalie and Corporate Bro that are putting out content daily on the internet and creating celebrity for themselves, which then gives them optionality and opportunities for not just themselves, but the brands that choose to partner with them. So Bravado partnering with Corporate Bro is a massive win for Bravado because they were smart enough to hitch their wagon to somebody who has audience and has put in the work to build that audience. So I think there's massive opportunity here to create a cheat code around celebrity in your industry because there are very, very few companies doing this.
Yeah, whether that's becoming a celebrity yourself, which again, none of this is coming from a place of like ego, but saying like, hey, how can you actually build a thought leadership platform for your personal brand?
It's not about ego, it's about business advantage.
Exactly. But also potentially it's leveraging other creators or influencers, like you mentioned Corporate Bro. What Bravado has done in order to kind of short circuit that process for your brand. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. And I think that that's the thing that inspires me a lot about Hello Sunshine is I feel like in B2B, we have partnerships, right? Or our ecosystem. And I think that Hello Sunshine, with what Reese is doing just in her whole portfolio of companies, right? She has Draper James, which is a retail brand. She has her own book, little kids book. So, and obviously then she's also an actress and all of these things. And so I think like in B2B, we really need to think about the ecosystem. And sometimes the ecosystem is other companies in our, sister portfolio. It's IBM, right? With all of the products and services that they sell. And sometimes it's companies outside of ours, like Sweetfish Media, to help you do a podcast. And all of that ecosystem, I think, is one, super important, but I do think you need to make sure that the ecosystem fits the brand. So as I was kind of mentioning, right, I think there's opportunity for her to partner with small bookshops around the country, around the world, probably. But I think that really you want to make sure that it fits your brand. And I think she does a wonderful job of that, right? As I kind of mentioned, she's sort of like sweet, Southern, wholesome kind of brand. And I think when you go to the website properties, all of that looks exactly how you'd expect it to look. The products that she sells are exactly like you'd expect them to be. So I think that that's the learning for me for B2B is just make sure that, your ecosystem is really tight and also helps you in the message that you're trying to send across. Because I think it is harder in B2B to have a really strong message if you don't have a person at the hub of it. So I think that's one of my biggest lessons.
Yeah, and I think it also creates this pull for other folks in your audience or market that resonate with Southern, wholesome, nice, like all optimistic, all of these things.
Yeah, they're not my people, Anthony. My people are swearers and
let's be clear,
like obnoxious wrestling sweaters. But yes, teach their own.
That's awesome. Yeah. But it draws others in, and I think it makes folks feel like they belong to this broader group, right? She gets me totally.